are the hot things. But healthcare across the board, from A to Z, is fragmented. Now, when he's talking about dental practices, Bupa, December last year, we had two major roll-ups, one for about 85 million pounds, and one for over £1 billion, dental practices. And so in the dental area, when you tell people you're following the Bupa model, first of all, in the UK, everybody, not everybody, but almost everybody knows what that means. And if you're in the generic dental industry, you know, or you're aware of, or it's easily validated that Bupa rolled up a bunch of dentists. And as I mentioned, 200 more dentists retire than are produced from dental schools in the UK. And but that, not just in the UK, but I mean pretty much dental or dentists in the dentist industry is contracting. As are many of the industries. Okay, what are the takeaways from the kid?
In touch networks.
Yep, in touch networks. Yeah, and some of the other kids. And the main reason we don't it is a legitimate source, but it costs some money, and most of you don't have it, so we don't say it. But I mean, 20 or 30% of you would have found it in your search, like Moses in the desert. You know, you would have found it. But 98% of all the dream teams, or no, 95% come from LinkedIn, 5% come from alumni associations, professional associations, etc. And not your uncle, your cousin, your brother-in-law, your Goomba, relative, which will be your natural default. And in his particular case, he thinks he knows a lot about dentists because his dad's a dentist, a successful one, and hopefully his dad doesn't throw him out. He's not going to be, he'll be a board member, but his dad will probably slip a shiv in his back, take the deal. Why didn't I do this? Some of these people that they think, well, what's this fucking moron? I mean, why is he doing this, and why didn't I do this? They won't tell you that. Why this fucking moron? But I mean, they'll think, and that's why when they get together and you got nothing to fucking talk about, well, and they're sharing a cab on the way home. What the fuck? I mean, this fucking pimply face piece of shit. And that's the beginning of the seed. And then when you get closer to the deal, and then, we've already talked about some of these unfortunate incidents, and they don't have to happen. And when I tell you that, when in your weekly report, in the 5th or 8th or 12th or 15th or 22nd weekly report, and I tell you it's a red flag. And then you do nothing about it. But so far you've heard, well, he's not far enough along. But everybody else has told you the people you start with aren't the people you finish with. And but when it's the CFO or the CEO or the chairman, I mean, it hurts you. Because even though it's a numbers game, I mean, because what it's really saying is, well, what kind of judgment did you show? And it goes back to all the insecurities, all the other fuck-ups you've had. Well, this is fuck. Here, he's giving me this on a fucking platter. He tells me now he says don't be changing the fucking templates. Like he's an illiterate fucking Chinese fucking from Mauritius. But now he's changing my fucking, anyway. But
improving that.
Yeah, improving that. Yeah. It goes back to the fuck-ups that you've had. And, I lost my chairman. God damn, especially when I put a question mark by the guy's name, I only put a question mark. It's not because I love the guy I put a question mark by the name. Be careful. What are you doing? Are you sure? That's what a question mark means. Not, congratulations, dipshit. I mean, you just picked the best goddamn guy on the planet. That's not what a question mark means.
Mr. Peña,
Yes, sir.
Can you set the stage with them?
Sure, you can. But I mean, I hope you talk better than you box. I'm hoping to Allah that you're except for 2 or 3 of you that knew what you were doing in the ring. I hope that your wordsmithing verbally is better, and because the most of you, and you'll be nervous. You'll be, when you talk to these guys the first time, most of you will be nervous because you never have. Like he said, these guys that he talks to when he was at Deloitte, and he was a Big 4 accountant, which is a big fucking deal. And he wasn't even going to tell anybody because But when you talk to these guys and gals, for the first time, and when you meet them for the first time, dry your hands because your hands are going to be perspiring. Okay, dry them nice, and so when you shake hands, it's got a dry hand. And that's why you practice. And like Jamie from yesterday or the day before, by the time he got to his 22nd presentation for banks, he was pretty smooth. He's pretty smooth, and and he uses the right words. He does. So for those of you that. And he knows what a dangling participle is. He knows what a split infinitive is, okay?
But we don't have to know that.
No, fuck no. No. Believe me, you don't have to. Yeah. I happen to know only because when I went to school, they taught you that shit. Now they don't teach you that shit, okay? But, I mean, you're going to be nervous. Now, some of you won't be nervous, The gangster brothers say that they think they're not going to be nervous because they've been pushing around people for 10 years. We'll see. Well, I can't wait to read their fucking reports. I'll probably publish them in the fucking Dade County newspaper. I'll spend $40,000 and have a full page ad. And this is the gangster boys down there. This is what they're doing. What else about Nicholas? Anything else? He says, follow the templates. Oh, he's improving them. I didn't think there were such improvements, but but his first language is French. Okay, but he's not doing this in French. He's doing it. Well, if he's doing it in French in London, he's going to have a major problem. But for those of you that are in dental, and there's only one in here that I know of, there's plenty of dentists to go around, believe me. There's plenty of dentists. And then the specializations within the dental. Okay, he's looking for general dentists. Young kid, yeah.
So if we're going to roll up dental offices, where I live, you have to be a dentist.
Yeah, but 50% of the board has to be dentists. Now, some states are different. Whether 50% of the ownership, it's normally 50% of the board, not the ownership. A couple of states, it is 50% of the ownership, okay. But you got to check. And you can set up special agreements, trusts, etc., where they own the company. If it has to be 50% of the ownership, 50% of the ownership of that company, and then they're part of a holder company. I mean, there's ways of getting around that, legal ways, and that's what the lawyers are for, and the accountants are for. But dentistry is a good area, and they're pretty big margins depending on how you run. The dental you're talking about, the margins are huge. Yeah. I mean, what she's talking about is the margins are, I would imagine, 60, 70, 80%. When you charge $50,000 to fix somebody's mouth, I mean, how much goddamn, $5,000 or $10,000 max? Less. $2,000 and you're charging $50,000. I mean, those are my kind of margins.
Implants.
Yeah.
Implants.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yes, sir.
When you talk about margins, do you mean product margins or business growth margins?
No. I'm talking about gross margins. Charge $1 million after the initial expense. Is 50%, so that's a gross margin. The net margin is after the tax, etc. That's the net margin. We're talking about gross margins. How much is a pound of coffee cost to make?
To make $5.
$5. And how much you charge?
13.
Okay. So what's that? 60% margin? Okay. You know, even you can't fuck that up. I know you'll try, but I mean, that's the bigger the margin, the better you're off, because management, as I've been talking to a few of you that have actual businesses, it's management of people that's a bitch. I mean, because the people will, you'll never underestimate how wrong you can be. I mean, people will do all kind of stuff. Yeah.
What industries have small margins? So I know.
Retail, like you came from just now. Yeah, you picked two of the smallest margin businesses. You know, you're in the bottom 10% of margins. Yeah, those are.
I got out of them.
Yeah, you got out of them. But I mean, the restaurants are tough because of this thin margins. Petroleum gas stations, tough. Not the service end of it where they rob you for fixing the car, but I mean the actual gasoline.
Manufacturing company.
Yeah, manufacturing is tough. I used to be in the bolt business. We manufactured bolts. Ooh. The money was how much, the difference when you grind the bolt, you know, with a lathe, or not by hand, but with an automatic lathe, you could tell if you were having a good day or bad day, but how much they left of the grindings on the ground. Because they either overcut them, undercutting was all right until they returned them because they didn't work. But overcutting, you couldn't sell them again. And
the CFO and all the boards, they all have to be retired?
No, they don't have to be retired.
Also the CEO?
But no, they
are they full time? I mean,
No. Non-executive board means they're not full time. In the beginning, when you buy, you're going for your first deal, and they're going to ask you, and you're going to see in the role playing from here on in. They say, well, how much time is it involved? Okay, remember, yeah, I'm interested. Thank you for considering me. Yeah, I'm interested. If I can be of value, subject to conflict. Those are the first words. The next words are what it will entail on my part. Because guys that are real busy, and that's who you really want, guys that are real busy, you know, they're already on 7, 8, 9, 10 boards. And so they're going to say, is this a 2-hour a week, 2-hour a month, 6-hour? We had a couple guys that, again, English wasn't their primary language, and they misunderstood, and they told these guys this was 20 hours a week, and they kept getting no. Well, it's not 20 hours, it's 2 hours a week in the beginning, until we have cash flow enough to actually have an office, have an entity, and then the non-executive directors will get paid honorariums for attending meetings and still bonuses based on transactions. They're used to getting honorariums. Let's say, like the big companies are paying $200,000 to $300,000 a year to be on General Motors board, okay? And they have to go to 6 meetings a year, okay? So if it's $300,000, that means they're getting $50,000 a meeting, plus travel expenses and hotel, okay? For a big company. For a small company, you may give $2,000, $3,000, $4,000. Once you get cash flow, you may give $2,000, $3,000, $4,000, $5,000 honorarium for maybe 4 meetings a year or 2 meetings a year. The money they're going to make is at exit because of the stock they get and upon transaction. I don't know of any company other than my mentees that pay non-executive and executive directors bonuses based on doing deals. I don't know of any. There aren't any. And so that, in addition to the enticement of the going public or selling out someday, okay, will be that, they may get $50,000, $100,000, or $300,000 extra a year. If you do 10 deals and you give them $30,000 every time you do a deal, I mean, that's a big, enticement. Legit, everything's above board, they pay taxes. And if one of your potential board members say, is there any way to pay me this non-taxable? Next. I mean, you got to, the more solid your foundation of your business, the better it is. Okay, so this is taxable money. taxable money. So the only real employees you're going to have, not after the first transaction, but maybe the second, third, or fourth, are the CEO, if you're not that person, the CFO, and very seldom are any of you guys the CFO. He could be. Okay, I point like he's still there. He could be because of his transaction background as a chartered accountant with Deloitte. Okay, so the CEO, the CFO, and occasionally you'll have a chief marketing officer, depending on your business, or you may even have a chief operating officer, depending on your business. But what?
What is this list of 3 things?
No. It's a CEO is going to be working, have a job, a CFO, and sometimes, depending on the industry, the COO and a chief marketing officer, and sometimes a chief technology officer. But that's don't worry about that. It's basically the CFO and the CEO. If you're not the CEO, are the only two real employees you're going to have. Those are going to have guys that have and those are executive directors, not non-executive directors. And so, if you're going to be the CEO, which I don't recommend for most of you, but if you are, then the only guy you're going to have is a CFO. Okay, and if one of you, like the Doofus brothers, one may pretend to be a CEO, and one may pretend to be a CFO. If I understand the breakdown of work the way you guys break it down, so that means you won't have any, and you probably like that. You won't have anybody that can sign your fucking dirty name away, and commit you to anything. Okay, the chairman 99 times out of 100 is a non-executive chairman. He oversees. Occasionally, the chairman, when he's retired, when you fire the CEO the first time and he fills in as CEO because you don't know anything, and you fire the CEO the second time, then he fills in. So the CEO and the CFO are the only two real operating officers that you're going to have. Now, you grow to 100 million, 200, 500 million, it's different, but let's not worry about that until that happens. Okay, so you're going to have two guys if it's not you, and for those of you that are going to try to be CEO, you're only going to have one guy that's an operating guy who's a CFO, and you're going to go and you're going to look into Google and what about a treasurer, and what about you don't need any of that shit. You need a treasurer like you need AIDS. You don't need a treasurer. Okay. When you have $4 billion in the bank, you need a treasurer. So he sees you're getting the right interest rates, this and that and the other thing, but you don't have to worry about that. Now, by the look on your face, I'm sorry I even mentioned treasurer, because now you're looking at me, well, you never mentioned treasurer before, Dan. What does the treasurer do? He does nothing. It's just, I made a slip of the tongue. They don't even exist. Okay. Did I answer that question? Okay. Any other questions? And he did it pretty simply, and he's he is pretty smart. I mean, you can't be stupid and be a chartered accountant in this country, but your accountant guy on your board, the accountant guy that he brought on his board, is a chartered accountant. Remember, a lawyer, accountant on the board, both transaction persons, and so. He could have, thankfully he didn't, he could have tried to fill in as the accountant person, but I mean, he has limited experience. And so rightfully he didn't. So even though he's, on paper, he's qualified because of his degrees, he's not going to be any of those people of real authority. Most of you are founders, principals. That's what Josh is. Okay. YouTube. See you later.